At Loft, so what we usually do is just like a quick like round of intros of who we are, and I don't remember what we usually say. Yeah,
We make it up.
Yeah. I will start. So my name is Reed Jordan, and I am really excited to talk again about incredible sci-fi written by Black women that just keep blowing my mind each time, over and over again.
I can go.
Do it.
I'm Lafayette Cruz. What are all his main intros? Oh, he, him, urban planner and futurist. I am also, and because of that, super excited to talk about the city we became. I felt like when it came out, I was very excited and being like, everyone, this is me. This is me in a book. Avatar plus cities plus like people of color plus like queer stories. This is me. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this.
My name is Lawrence Barroner II. Also excited to be here to talk about this. Also excited to have Lafayette on a Black Sci-Fi Book Club call.
Woo!
Hells yeah. Let's see. I use he, him pronouns mostly. I am calling from occupied Pawtucket and Massachusetts lands, also known as Cambridge, Massachusetts. I am in the middle of baking a sweet potato pie, so I'm going to walk away from my computer from time to time to check on it, but I'll still be on my headsets. And this book really blew my mind. I love N.K. Jemisin always and forever, and I can't believe how well she literally embodied New York City's boroughs. Staten Island, oh my gosh, Staten Island really got me.
Oh my gosh.
Staten Island. Woo!
I wasn't ready, but it made perfect sense and I wasn't ready.
Like, I want to talk to New Yorkers about the ending. Like, I've been asking New Yorkers, like, have you read this book? What do you think of this ending?
What are they saying?
No one has read it yet, or at least what I was like, that's not true. When I had just finished reading it, it was ready to talk about it. No one had read it yet. Or no one had finished it.
Because you read it early, right?
Yeah. Like, I like pre-ordered it. Because I'd read the short story that was from How Long Till Black Futures Month, and I was like, I love this,
which I'm about to read.
It's so good.
Because Black Future Month starts in 6 days or whatever.
Yeah.
Keep
anyway,
going.
So yeah, I haven't heard any like actual New Yorkers' thoughts on it, or anyone from like New Jersey. Just be like, what do you think? So yeah, I just. It really made me, like, I spent my summer in my lawn, like in the grass and like bird watching, but being like, man, this is peaceful, but I really want to be in the city. Like, I want to have my head rattle on the train for some reason.
Yeah. I did love the couple of times where the train motif got used, like as the, what do they call them? Constructs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
So good. In Manhattan, I think when Manhattan first learned to use the train construct, is it Manhattan? And it like kind of turns into like a bullet train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like fly through literally Manhattan. Yeah.
Yeah. So brilliant.
There's like I dog-eared my pages. That's like how I organize myself. And I dog-eared like 40 pages. Usually it's like 2 or 3 things. I'm like, oh, really gotta talk about this. It's like, it's so much, and it's just, I really wonder for the people who reviewed this book, like, how could you review this book if you hadn't lived in New York? Like,
you can't.
You would have no basis on which to, or like at least I don't know, spend time in the city? Like, how could you like talk about this book? So I'm really curious what those reviews were like. You know?
Yeah, I don't like. You can't.
Yeah.
You literally cannot.
Yeah, like it did because this is the first in a trilogy, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm curious about like if she'll go into other cities or if it's all going to be in New York. Because I just remember like in reading this, like, oh, I wonder how this process plays out in other cities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they were talking about it in London, right? Like, didn't they talk about how London had like 12 avatars or something?
Yeah, it was like 12, 13 or something, and then they all became one.
And like how New Orleans and Port-au-Prince were like aborted attempts, essentially. Like, that,
Yeah.
And it's just
I'm
like,
still listening. I'm gonna go check on my pie,
okay.
but I'm here.
yeah.
Because I was just like, when, I don't know, just like when does it happen?
Yeah. What point?
And like, what would the avatars look like? Because like, what would LA look like? Like, it doesn't have, it's not organized in any same way unless it's just
Yeah.
like Chicago, where it doesn't have boroughs, but it is very divided. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're going to divide it by north south, or you're going to divide it by like neighborhoods. Has it already, like, I do
It's
wonder
taken
like how
forever.
how many cities have like been aborted in their death because of like interdimensional white monsters, which I thought was,
did.
I really appreciated those interdimensional white monsters.
It's great. No, it's great. It was not a thing that I needed, but I love it.
Oh my gosh. There's so many moments.
I'm just gonna
Like,
call it.
I think my favorite, I mean, there were good moments of
Okay, it needs to like settle down a little bit,
monsters
but
showing up. My
I'd be
favorite
ready
one
to cut in
was
like 10 minutes.
like the art
You
scene
feel free to
one.
cut into it if I'm not here.
Oh, do you want to say something?
Yeah, at least 10.
Want to mute Lawrence?
Oh, I'll meet Lawrence. Yeah. He's gonna come back like, NYU. I can't remember exactly what happens, but when they're essentially trying to find like a subterfuge, like a way into like the art center, and so they hire those like fake white artists who just do like incredibly inflammatory, offensive pieces as
Yeah.
art, and then record it, and then like they try to generate backlash, and then post that backlash. It's Trumpism essentially, like Trumpism,
Yeah.
like artists, like all these liberals who got through their art program through affirmative action, and now like they don't appreciate this art, and like the way she set that up.
Oh my gosh.
Whew. And like they brought in like some other art piece that had like it's like a portal into like another world, and like it almost sucked in the Bronx. Like,
oh my gosh. Every time they were alone, I was just like, no, don't. Yeah, my sister kept laughing at me because I would like come up from reading and just be like very shocked, very afraid for the city of New York, for everyone. It did make me, I don't know, like I just really appreciated like framing like white supremacist like global capitalism and imperialism as like some interdimensional white octopus that you can't really destroy. Yeah, I mean, especially that was the other thing. I was reading this like in June and July, so white supremacy and how it's destroying everyone and everything was very strong on my mind, including just destroying our cities.
I was following her on Twitter in June and July. It's like seeing her response to what was happening in cities, and she was basically said like, hey, everyone who's like looking to me for like words of wisdom, everything that you need to know, like I've already put in my books, like everything you need to know, which I totally agree. I'm like, it's in the book.
It really, yeah. And I think like even just like the tension of being like individual but one, because like I remember for the longest time it took me it was like very hard for me to understand like what the boroughs were.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean like in the book or in New York?
In New York, like in real life. Because yeah, or even I don't know, it's just like the point of like it being unlike any other city. And I think like any of the sort of cities that come alive have to be unlike any other city in order to be like worth it. But yeah, just how like you can't really beat, I don't know. Like everyone wants to say New York is Manhattan, but then having to defend them, like, no, Queens and the Bronx and Brooklyn and Staten Island or Jersey City.
Not Jersey City.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
backing up one click.
Yeah,
I really
sorry.
appreciated that the better New York foundation was how it like manifested. I was like, ooh, the foundation dynamic.
Mm.
So true.
And I mean, especially with sort of like early 2000 beautification in New York, and then also seeing how Rudy Giuliani sort of devolved. I was like, oh yeah, no, this seems about right. This sort of neoliberal capitalist ideals of like, if we make the city clean and appealing
And
use
pretty.
like sort of dirty money to secretly like oust people out of their homes.
Yeah.
All under the guise of like, yeah. But also just the fact that they're all over the place. It's not just in New York.
And like ready and waiting. Like just like that strategy of just like chilling, having little outposts in as many places so that when the city begins to come alive, you're like ready to capture it or like squelch it. Like such a great analogy, metaphor.
Yeah.
It was interesting though, because even just like that like brief second when you kind of understand why they're doing what they're doing, of just like
Wait, who?
The interdimensional white monsters. Of just like when a city comes alive, it punches a hole through like all these timelines, and that sucks for us. But also, yeah, I feel bad for you, but also no, you don't get to do that.
Yeah.
It is really interesting. I'm very curious where she's going in the next two books, particularly about the like how is she going to deal with whiteness?
Yeah.
Because whiteness like isn't a thing. Like it's as much a not thing as like it's as constructed as everything else as far as race is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like cultural identity, but like white only exists because white needed to make not white in order to extract economic value from bodies and land. So like, you know, like Claudia Rankine's work about like studying whiteness is like for the purpose of getting underneath it all and be like, this is all fake. It's all made up. Like take it, just we can undo it. Like it was created and it can be uncreated. Yeah. So given that, like I wonder how N.K. Jemisin is like thinking about that trajectory. Like, yes, I really feel you, Lafayette, that moment where I was like, oh damn, I like kind of understand why this other city is like, y'all need to stop. Yeah. Like you're like you're hurting us. But like when I think about the whiteness trajectory, like the idea that you're being oppressed is only because you have occupied a place of power for so long that you don't know what normal is. So like I'm just curious about how all that's going to show up in like book 2 and 3, or if she's even going to go there. Like, yeah. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Like I fundamentally believe that like white people don't exist in the sense that like whiteness is fake. So like it was like paint that was applied onto people who came from geographies. Like they were indigenous at some point too. Like all lineages go back to land because we couldn't globally travel until like 2 generations ago. So like most people, I mean, like all people have indigeneity somewhere. Like if you get under whiteness, like what is the indigeneity under people's whiteness? Like, is that going to show up in this like white other city? Like, is she going to get into? Anyways, I don't know. Okay, I'm done ranting.
No, I do. Actually, wait. I've been talking a lot. Read.
No, go for it. I want to hear you say.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of like how she deals with the whiteness was interesting to me because I do like up until the end, I was like, oh, is Staten Island going to choose like their home over whiteness, over sort of like, or are they going to be afraid of having to deal with like their relationship to everyone else or not? And of course, at the end, it was like it's too scary to deal with my relationship with people who I've made different than me, even if it is terrible for me to live here under my dad's roof, even if he does invite white supremacists, like misogynists, to beat me. I'd rather that than deal with these scary others who are me, like who are like we are the same, we are one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that sort of the whiteness on this dimension versus these monsters that have used whiteness and white supremacy and capitalism to do something evil. It's weird. It almost like she says like, I'm not sure if she's saying if this is what she's saying, but just like whiteness and capitalism in and of themselves weren't the evil. They existed and then were just easy to be globbed onto and leveraged for evil. Because isn't that sort of the thing she says with like a lot of the like white people, like a lot, like with the woman that they meet at the park?
Yeah.
Is like it wasn't that like it attached to her because of sort of her inherent fear and hatred, and then it just exacerbated it and used it for evil. But it's
Right.
not that like in and of itself. Yeah, it's just like I wonder like what it would say like in a place that wasn't a city in the middle of the birth process, like what whiteness is.
Yeah, because the process of like, I love the way she described it. Like when you interact with this, like foreign agent, whatever you want to call it, like it accelerates and enhances like traits that already were there or like latent among people. It doesn't like fundamentally change who they are. It just like accelerates rapidly and escalates. It's like all the. I would really love for. I really feel like the next book has to be something like more and more about whiteness because there were some. Like there were, I think, 2 characters who were white who were not affected by this and who like see the city for what it was. Like the taxi, like driver, like the 19-year-old, and I think there was one other person, maybe one person at the art center. But every other character who was white was like immediately, like radically accelerated on a path of white supremacy at the moment they came in contact with like this, I don't know, otherworldly like accelerant stuff. Like to see it.
Did it only affect white people? I can't remember. I don't remember seeing anything about.
I thought there was, or maybe I'm imagining this. Weren't there like, I feel like there was one time when she saw a bunch of them and there were like Black people and people of color. But I may be making this up or make this up with another story.
It might have been. I remember so many of the other instances around people of color were like these incredible attacks on them, essentially, like with all these beings and like constructs that these these creatures we're creating, that are going after like the family members of the burrows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like I would have to. I assume like I just feel like there was something with like a crowd of people and they were white and there was like some black faces in there, like black and brown faces, because like white supremacy will use black and brown people to like propel itself forward.
Yeah, it would definitely make sense. I just couldn't remember if that was like a narrative choice she had made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, can we talk about the queerness between fucking Manhattan and the Avatar, like, and Sao Paulo? Like, what?
Yes.
Homie. Okay, so at the beginning of the book, I looked so long for the gender of the character that was like in bed with Sao Paulo. Like, I was like, did she say, is this like a queer situation or not? And I like went back and reread those pages like several times, and you get pretty far in before she like very clearly identifies that these are like two, male identified characters. At least I couldn't find it. I very well could have been missing things, but I was just very excited when I like figured it out. It was like page 18 or something, but
okay, yeah, because I was like, wait, I just remember in the short story, like in the like prologue, he like tries to hit on Sao Paulo. Anyway,
I mean, I do think that happens in the prologue, but I just don't remember
if
she IDs.
But
were you gonna say something?
No, I was just trying to remember what. No.
But yes, no, the like stupid queerness of Manhattan and New York. I like was very afraid. Well, no, I wasn't afraid. I was kind of afraid. I was like, no, this is gonna be. They're gonna like love each other and it's gonna go through Manhattan. But no, I was happy. I don't know.
I feel like the energy between the two of them was so fascinating. Like Manhattan's energy towards the Avatar, the
hunger,
wild, the hunger.
Yeah.
So like, I have to protect him. I also want him. Like, but also, I am his in this like really interesting like Manhattan as like the serial killer like. Sometimes dom role, but also in this like, oh my god, I just want to protect this person and like serve him in this like sub role. I was like, ooh.
What
does that say about Manhattan as like a borough?
I mean, but isn't that Manhattan? Like it is both like. I just like I remember my like summer working for Phil and living there. Like Manhattan in one sense is like really tough and wants to beat you up, but at the same time does so much to be like loved and to like taken care of. And is like very clear that it is Manhattan, but also it is New York, but also it is Manhattan. It is just like a bunch of things at once in a very exciting and at times terrifying way. I just remember my summer being there, like, wow, New York is really trying to like impress me, and I appreciate that. It likes to pretend it doesn't care, but it does.
That's definitely Manhattan. I love when he finds out that he can use money as a construct to fight off. He just starts throwing bills on the ground and like his credit card.
Fucking credit card.
It's just like, oh shit, I don't have enough money. He's just empties his wallet out.
Give me your money.
Oh my, that is also, oh my gosh. I don't know. I love the Avatar aspect of that. And like, are there going to be more powers? Like, what besides like being together, just like fighting as like a Voltron Avatar of the city of New York? What else can they do?
I mean, okay, wait. So are you talking about like in the next book where there's like the 4 boroughs and the Avatar?
Yeah. Sorry. I guess I was like treating all of them as avatars for like the boroughs and the city at once, and when they work together, they're like a Voltron avatar of the city and the boroughs. And so yeah, I'm intrigued as what they'll do in the next books, but then also just like in whatever sort of fan fiction world where they are continuing to grow in their power, like what is the power of New York? Like it hasn't been realized yet as a city because it's still fighting these interdimensional white monsters. That's just where I was going.
Yeah. But what do you think?
I don't know.
Lame. You have to speculate. Come on. Okay, so you don't know this. So one of the things we do at the end, if it's a series book, is like speculate what's going to happen in the next book. So we don't have to go there yet, but that's just a preparation. You have to be prepared to do some speculation.
Well, I guess like it depends on like what sort of, I don't know. I'd be interested if she does another city. I'd be interested if it is just a continuation of this fight, because in which case, if it's just a continuation of the fight that's going on, I don't expect.
Wait. So we're gonna do what you're doing now at the very end of the call.
Oh, at the very end. Sorry. Okay. Well, then I'll leave it alone.
Yes. But I was just trying to prepare you for doing some speculation, because just then you were like, I don't know. So get ready for the upcoming speculation. And if you want to speculate on New York's superpowers in this moment, you're encouraged to, but you don't have to.
Okay. I don't know. In like a world where they figured out like housing and housing affordability and just continue to grow, because like they have managed to be, I mean, I guess, and LA, but just like as a big city, they continue to grow. And they somehow tapped into some power to like safely bulk up and get stronger that way, and just like really solidify and like diversify the stories that are told about them. I'm just imagining some sort of Dragon Ball Z-esque, just like just Kamehameha. The next book is just them screaming.
Just 5 episodes of fucking Goku just yelling and building the fucking spirit bomb, just like.
And just them staring at each other intensely.
Or with the eye darting, you know, they're just like fighting in their heads.
I'm also
okay. Anyways,
oh sorry. I'm interested in the like supporting characters that saw the world, like Manhattan's roommate, like the neighbors, Queen's. The Queen's aunt see them?
Yeah, Queen's aunt.
Aunt and like uncle. And wasn't there another character in that? Like I guess there was a baby. We didn't find out if the baby could see.
Yeah.
Brooklyn's family.
And the daughter.
Oh yeah.
Brooklyn's daughter. Yeah. And family next door.
So like, will they do a spirit bomb? Will they be like, we know what's going on, take our energy? I watched too much Dragon Ball Z as a kid.
That's not a possible thing to do.
I didn't watch any Dragon Ball Z, but I think I've seen like some memes. So I think I get it. Like I think I get it.
It's so good. It's literally so good. I am curious, Lafayette, about the site. Like, I think there was a point in the book, maybe Sao Paulo said it or Hong Kong said it, like some people who need to be able to see what's happening can. And I was curious about like, what does it mean to need to be able to see into like the inner workings of the city, or like when things are dangerous or at risk?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Reed?
I think she was just giving homage to like people say you have to live in New York for like a pretty long time and like really live in the city to see it and to feel it and like be really invested in it. So like when I read that, I feel like she was paying homage to people who like maybe they aren't like fully an avatar of a borough, but they have so become like part of the city that there's like a pulse on it in a way that people who just like glide on the surface of the city would like take from it.
Mm.
Can't see it. And I also like how she like how the city like really wants to help. Like things like if you just kind of like go with the flow, like the city will like send you little nudges and like little things to help you. You just have to have your eyes open and like be looking out for them. But if you're like awake and present with it, like there'll always be things there to like help you with your next step. Which I really do think is true. Like living in New York. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that thought. Because when you initially asked that, Lawrence, like, well, everyone needs to see this because this is, but like, I think everyone needs to, but not everyone can. And I think that kind of goes to like Reed's point. And even just like, because even just like with Manhattan, like there is some people like it doesn't always matter how long you are there. It's just like how you approach the city and see it. Like, are you? I don't know. Are you there to like be in a relationship with this living thing? Or are you there to just like have fun in it and like treat it like a playground? Or even just like, do you not have the ability to sort of look up and see like this living, breathing organism? Like once you can see it, then it's like cool. I need your help.
Yeah, like in order to stay thriving,
Yeah,
the city actually needs people to pay attention to what it is and how it works.
yeah. Which then makes it interesting of just like how, I mean, if you think of like the Make a Better New York Foundation as like this sort of like rich post Richard Florida creative class, cities as a playground, as a way of like keeping people from really seeing the city, and as like a sort of long-term effort to like one, price people out who could see the city, but then also bring people in who don't understand what it means to look at a city as a living thing. um, yeah. Hmm.
I mean, I, I definitely feel like aligned with kind of the directionality of what you were just saying, Lafayette. I do, maybe this also brings back in the earlier conversation about whiteness. Like my sense of what, like those two trajectories you were just talking about, like maybe this may be naive. I just feel like the effort isn't to price people out. Like, that's not what people are trying to do. What people are trying to do is like make it work for them. And like the side effect is that it doesn't work for anyone else. And, you know, I think similar, like when you watch like young white families move into neighborhoods and start calling the police because it's too loud, because they're like, you know, it's like the music is loud and their babies can't sleep.
Yeah.
It's like the thing that they're doing is like, my baby can't sleep. I would like for my baby to be able to sleep, and I'm going to make sure that happens. Anyone, like, that's my top priority. Like, I'm not able to see the city as a whole thing. I just come to get my little piece of it. Which, you know, I'm not here trying to be like a white supremacist apologist.
But like in that
paying
moment,
attention to the system dynamics.
Yeah. Because like in that moment, you're being like a parent apologist. And like, yes, as a parent, that sort of privilege from like white supremacy. Because it's also just like, because like even if this battle wasn't happening, I think New York would still be a rough city. Like, that's the thing. It's not like New York is like soft and cuddly, and it's still like a hard city to be in, and there's beauty to that, but it's like it is hard. And so in the same way that these like monsters sort of leverage the sort of negative inclinations of people to sort of push forward white supremacy, I think it also leverages the difficulties of being in New York to push forward its efforts. Yeah, because like even just with maybe I worked in government too long. Just like the bureaucracy of like Brooklyn's home being sort of seized and bought up and like put a lien on. It's like, okay, that unfortunately is what always tends to happen, but I don't think that was always the intention, and there is some benefit to like bureaucracy and governance. Because I guess I'm a government apologist, but it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out like how to say this. Like, I don't. Go on. What were you gonna say?
Like when you were saying that, I was like shit like that happens in cities, like as a result of dysfunctional big government. If you're not like a city council member like Brooklyn was, to then call and like just figure it out, like you just lose your home. Like that happens. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with like the piece about how difficult it is to live in the city. Like how like if you can't like move with that difficulty. Like I was thinking about the moment on the highway, like when you're talking about this, like the moment on the highway where people were just so like enraged by traffic. But this traffic was being caused by like this like I don't know, white supremacist massive spear thing attacking the highway, but like most people just like couldn't see it. But instead they're just kind of like driving around it inadvertently, like not even knowing that they're driving around it, but it's like driving around and getting mad, angry at this traffic. Not like not all present with what was actually happening, but it's like feeding off of this like collective like frustration of like being in the city and being difficult and being mad, and like this like spear just like thriving on that.
Yeah. Because like I get what. Because I remember just having to like recognize that with myself. It's like, you know what, I hate, or when I like moved into like the more like long-term family side of Chicago, and they would like do fireworks in the summer, and I was like, I hate fireworks. It's like, okay. I mean, I didn't have the same power as other people, and I generally was like, okay, cool. This is not my home at the moment, or not my home in the same way. But also having to recognize myself, this is not what I want for my living environment. And if I had the power to do something different, or felt the or like the necessitating using my power to do something different, I might. And so yeah, it's one of those like, okay, I understand it, but also like there are some unseen forces that are going to leverage that moment to do something much bigger.
Mhm.
Which again, like I think that's why she separates like white people from this white monster.
Mhm. That was a really great choice on her part.
Yeah. Because I even like I would love to. I've been trying to like imagine a post-white supremacy whiteness. And like what does that mean? Because like when you're so far separated from indigeneity, like Americanness becomes something different, but like
Yeah.
whiteness and so like what does that look like? I can't quite imagine it yet, but
Okay, this is not exactly what we're talking about. Like, I'm about to go down this road knowing that's not fully what this book conversation is about, but
okay.
I guess I can keep it brief. I don't think that there is a post-white supremacy whiteness.
Okay.
I think there may be post-white supremacy blackness, but I don't think there is post-white supremacy whiteness.
So you don't think there's a
Primarily
whiteness
because,
without white supremacy?
yes. And there's no need for whiteness if white is no longer supreme. Like there are still reasons for like blackness as its own like universe of culture, but like whiteness is just void of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's only defined in terms of what it's not. It's like a negative. It's like a shadow.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing there really. It's only the presence of other things around it that defines it. So it's I don't know. I don't know how white people are gonna do it though. Like where are they gonna like go to? You know? Like
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna need to take some time to imagine that for themselves. Like, what does it mean to exist as like a flattened amalgamation of like the descendants of white people?
yeah.
I think they're
like,
going to do the same thing that everybody else is doing.
Yeah. I mean, because
which is like, yeah, you go.
No. What do you mean? Like, what other people are doing?
I mean, like, okay, so me as someone who's descendant of people who were enslaved, there were a bunch of places where like my lineage ties were broken, and like I can't in like recorded history go back across them. Like there are some of those lineages that I just cannot get information about, and so I have to figure out what does it mean to be someone who doesn't have a lineage that is unbroken. So like, how do I relate to land? How do I relate to other people who like might be in my lineage, but like I will never know?
Yeah.
And like my friend, I have friends who like have done like friends who are like Black American who have done the like go back to where your DNA majority is from, and you like walk into a place and you're like, oh, everyone looks like me. Like that experience of like, sure, you may never actually know if that's where you literally were descended from, but there are ways to be in conversation with people who you can recognize as your people.
Yeah.
And I think like I am definitely connected to like lots of like radical lefty Jews in Boston. And there's like tons of that work happening in that community. Like people are like, oh, garlic was like an ancestral food for us, which is why like there's all these fucked up racist stories about like Jewish people smelling like garlic and like their breath smelling bad. It's like, yeah, because it was like indigenous magic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, that triggered another thought because I thought, have you seen It's a Wonderful Life?
Mm-mm.
Okay. It's okay if you haven't. My mom was feeling nostalgic and she was like, let's watch this movie. But there's a line where the very Donald Trump-esque evil like banker who wants to own everything um, talks about this like poor the good guy has built a suburb, is like selling homes to like poor people, and particularly like immigrants and like Italian folks. And then this evil guy was like, he sells homes to garlic eaters. And my sister and I were like, wait, that was an insult. I was like, oh, maybe this is back when like not all people that we thought was white now were white.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Because like, will it end up being sort of like I don't want to spend too much time thinking about the future of whiteness, but just like the taxi driver and sort of like and you get it with some like white people who are like from a place for a long time where like that is now their home and they identify with that home more than the broader narrative of whiteness.
totally.
Like that girl was a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just like I'm interested because like even like being in New York, it's like there are white people in New York and there are like New Yorkers who happen to be white, and they're like very different.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in, we'll see where this goes.
Reed, what do you think?
That's where it goes. I mean, yeah, it's connected to the book, but I've also been thinking a lot about this. Like, I mean, so clearly, like the frontier of what is going to need to happen next for white folks. I'm really curious who's going to be doing that work. Like, how are they going to? I'm curious about two things. One, I'm curious who's going to do that work, and like, how are people going to start doing that for themselves? Um, I think a lot of my white friends have seen, they feel that void, right? Like they know it's there, they feel it's there. Um, I feel like these conversations about whiteness mostly happen among. I guess I just don't have as many white friends as I used to. Mostly happen among like my POC friends, like us speculating for them, you know. So, but I wonder, like, are they having these same conversations about for themselves right now? You know, like, is there a book club right now where they're talking about the future of whiteness some on a Sunday night somewhere?
I feel like super leftist and progressive white folks are the ones who are already trying to sort of like reclaim the sort of humanity that this country is like forced them to sever from themselves. But like that's not a majority of people because I think a lot of white people don't sense what they are lacking.
No.
deeply agree, because that's how whiteness works.
Yeah,
It's like about amnesia. Like that's one of its primary tactics is like amnesia.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Reed, to your point, like I definitely, and yeah, plus one to what Lafayette was saying, like I have at least 4 different friends who lead like like white anti-racism groups. 5 now. If I, yeah, 1, 2, 3. At least 5 people, and like they all come from very different stances. Like some of them are about like they're groups for Ashkenazi Jews who are caught up in whiteness and are like trying to untangle themselves from that. I have folks who are doing it from like a spiritual stance of like, how does whiteness disconnect you from your divinity? I know folks who are doing it from like a gender stance, like how do patriarchy and whiteness intertwine? And as you heal your patriarchy, can you also heal your whiteness? Like, how do you reconnect to pieces of you that have been severed by whiteness and
Yeah.
patriarchy. Like there are definitely people doing it. They're definitely progressive / radical folks. It's definitely a minority. But like movements never start with the majority, so it makes sense that there's like a small number of people doing it. I want to say it feels important to me to be in relationship with those folks because, like, I mean, I'm obviously here for like me and my blackness, and like the biggest risk to my blackness is whiteness. Like the biggest threat to it is whiteness. Like I would like to make sure that that's like taken care of over there, so that I can like figure out whatever the fuck I want to do and like not have to worry about that. So that said, I'm really curious about how y'all experienced, like, how you saw and experienced, like, I guess I want to say just like specifically blackness in the like evolution of the avatars' relationships, or the avatar, like the boroughs.
Yeah.
Like, what did you see? What did you feel? What did you notice? Also, I'm knitting now. Just
I love that question.
I know, I loved it.
There's so much there.
little booty.
I mean, so much about like there's so much to talk about with Brooklyn. Like just starting with Brooklyn and like that essentially the Bronx called out Brooklyn for how like patriarchy and like homophobia has existed like so intensely within blackness, and how like Brooklyn in some ways really exemplified that, like, and like a rap career. Like I love that. I just love how it was like a queer woman of color from the Bronx calling out Brooklyn on that. Like, because I don't know, like white folks cannot take that mantle really to call that out. Like it's not going to have a powerful, it's not going to have a grip. Like it had to be the Bronx to name that, right? So that I don't know if it makes sense of like Manhattan. Essentially, it seems like he's racially ambiguous, but it sounds like he was like a light-skinned black guy. Like, and like I don't know if like we're supposed to make sense of that in terms of his like sets
Wait.
of.
What?
Who was a light-skinned black guy?
Manhattan.
Manhattan, right? That's what I thought he was. Is that wrong?
I don't think he never really said, because he did not remember, but everyone claimed him.
Ooh.
Wait, I thought at the end that New York City Avatar was like resisting dating a white guy who was Manhattan.
No, he's definitely
totally misread
definitely like
shit.
some type of racially ambiguous like.
Okay.
You know,
I have to go back and read it. I don't remember that part. I do. Okay, I have to go back and read that. But yeah, I just remember like he was. So it's funny. I was gonna speak to that because it's just like everyone wants to claim him, and so I'm like, oh, this is just a light-skinned black guy. But I don't know that.
Classic.
And it, yeah, it is weird because even in like when I'm in New York, I just want like I see it through everything being black. Like I know there are other people of color and I know there are white people, but I'm like, New York is a black city, even though like it's not.
Yeah.
And so, and just like trying, I don't know, it was like weird for me to then try to imagine like what does it mean, even in just like how Brooklyn sort of sees itself, because it is the only borough with like a skyline and like comparable or like in competition with Manhattan. And like what does that mean like as a black person then to sort of be in line with every other borough, and to be able to like be sort of called out in that way. Because yeah, like that is, or even just like the sort of like going way back to your question, Lawrence, about like being the descendant of enslaved people, owning land that was stolen from indigenous people, and just like how do you negotiate like anti-indigeneity in the Black community and anti-Blackness in the indigenous community, and but like you can only have those conversations when you're like in relationship with each other, like not at like a public. In the same way, like I don't want a white person calling that out. Like it would take a, yeah, no, I don't want a white person calling out. Like it would take a very special white person who was like done enough of the work and built enough trust. But yeah, and so it's just like I don't know, it's just like it's interesting to then sort of unpack sort of the thorns of our respective communities without the gaze of like whiteness. Yeah. I don't know. What is your response?
Talking to me or Reed or both?
Either or. I mean, Reed kind of answered, but yeah, either or.
Yeah, I guess my clearest experience of like Blackness through the book was I think the way that like music showed up, like who cared about music, what did it communicate, and like what was what was around music, like who was like thinking about like music thumping, like who was like using lyrics as like constructs, like that was, I was like really into that, really resonated. I was like, oh yeah, I definitely like think about the clicks on the train, like you're like, the thing, like what someone's back like banging up against the pole, like a regular rhythm because of how the train moves. And that was like, oh yeah, I hella recognize that. And there was some in the very early, I guess it was the prologue of the Avatar in Sao Paulo, like the conversation around food, like how hungry the Avatar was.
Yeah.
I was like, oof, I definitely recognize some of that energy of like, I just want this fucking egg sandwich like so bad. Like, oh my God, are these real eggs? I don't even know what this is. Like, I definitely, there was a very short period of my life where I felt like hunger was a part of it. Like I mostly grew up with a family that was like, probably lower middle class, but like pretending to be upper middle class. And my parents did a lot to make sure that we had what we needed and felt good about it. And that got easier over time, but definitely the like energy of like desire and specifically for like food that you really wanted was like, oh yeah, that resonates with like a lot of my experience and experiences that I know of like other Black folks in places where there's like a lot of resource and you're like one of a small number of people who like don't seem to have access to it, but it's like next to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some things that were like, that flowed for me. And how, okay, the last thing, like the relationship between, I guess it was the Bronx and Brooklyn, the like animosity that is like caring, but also like, shut the fuck up, get out of my face.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I was like, damn, I'll do anything for you, but also if you don't get off my fucking case,
Yeah.
we're gonna fight.
Yeah. Like I hate
I just
you.
love all the relationship, like the intensity of the relationships, and like how much I don't know. This made me really just appreciate New Yorkers. Like I don't consider myself a New Yorker. Yeah, I like maybe I will be in like 10 years. I don't feel it yet, but like it just something about folks who like are New Yorkers is so it's like so much to them. Yeah, like and like the intensity with which they have relationships with each other and just like speak with each other. It's just so I don't know. I've never seen anything like it, like any other like place I've been. It's like all the relationships were like that, one way or another.
Yeah. I gotta just remember. Yeah. Because I remember my first time going there, and everyone in the Midwest is like, New Yorkers are mean. And then I got there, I was like, oh no, they just don't do small talk, but they're really kind. Like, ask a New Yorker for directions. Now, pay attention because they're not going to repeat themselves, but ask for directions. They are glad to show you they know their city.
Yeah.
I'll give it right there. Yeah.
And like the ease of camaraderie when you're experiencing the like hiccups of the city. Or even like I was like shopping at Uniqlo and this woman just like asked me for advice for like she was buying something for like a boyfriend, I think. And I was like, I
Yeah.
do not know what's his style, but also like there is no other place where I feel like people are as comfortable coming up to me as a stranger
Mm.
and having this sort of it's like a surfacey conversation, but it's a conversation with purpose. Like we can do small talk in the Midwest, but it's not like, hey, I need your help with a specific thing. We don't need to talk to each other, but help me with this thing.
Yeah.
I guess not Minnesota.
Mm.
I know you guys don't like talking at all.
That sounds weird. That's for sure.
The Midwest is weird. The Midwest is weird.
Weird. It's a weird.
I love it and I hate it.
I like don't really understand how the Midwest works.
I don't
It's like
I don't know. Like very passive aggressive. I think
yeah,
it's just a lot of like deep balled up anxiety that just like trickles out.
Mm.
You'll never like see it all or like feel it all, but it's just like constantly like oozing just a little bit. Like
it is very much like yeah, it is performance of it's like the performance of like California. No, not California carefree. Like in the way that like Californians want to be balanced and like healthy, but like with the aggression of an annoyed East Coast person, but like feeling a lot of shame about that. And so trying to like mitigate interactions where that comes out. So everything is very like jovial but surfacey.
Fascinating.
Yeah, just a lot of shame. But also, I don't know, there's also like a sense of like not wanting to burden you or to make you feel bad. That's weird. That like Protestant,
it is weird.
that like German Scandinavian Protestantism. Because then you also get like, as I've been realizing more and more, the best things about Wisconsin are the things that like the socialist Germans did.
Fascinating.
So, yeah, like Milwaukee was thriving when it was run by socialists. The Green Bay Packers are like owned by the people. Like we have all these co-ops and like co-op grocery stores and like a school about like cooperative economics, but we want to pretend like that's not the case. And it's just like, no, the things we love about ourselves are these things. What are we doing? So, the Midwest is weird. I love it and I hate it.
Yep. Fascinating. Okay. I feel like I'm being energized to learn more about the history of the settlement of the Midwest. Like, how did that happen? Who are those people? I'm hearing bits in what you're saying, Lafayette, but I'm like, I don't actually know shit about that. Maybe I don't need to learn about it, but I'm definitely finding myself be curious in this moment. But also, it's almost time to call it, aka I'm getting sleepy.
I would say it's like almost 10 out there.
So now speculation time. I feel like it's speculation time, Reed.
Yeah, speculation time. They wouldn't have a burning speculation they want to start with.
I gave my week one, so I'll think of something else.
I'll start. I have two. One's a weak one. The first is, I think in the next book, I hope that Queens will play a much larger role. I feel like Queens is kind of a backdrop, and there's like so much there. Like there's so much richness, like depth. Like we need to know more about Queens. Like, you know,
I love that.
Queens is going to come out. The second one, I think the like merger of Jersey to New York is just going to have like a profound impact on like the day, like the people who cannot see what's happening are going to feel that merger. Like all the like normal New Yorkers are going to feel that merger, and it's going to like really change how they interact on a day-to-day basis. And there's going to be something that's like odd that happens. Like people from like Jersey will come in and like be like loved or accepted. Like everyone will not understand why they're feeling these feelings, but something weird is really going to happen because of this like other shift in like the like collective geography of what makes New York whole.
Those are good ones.
I like those.
I'm very into those. I feel like I'm struggling a little bit with the speculation, but I'm gonna go for it. So,
yeah.
I hope that we're gonna get to see chunks of other cities, like the city summit. You know, they were talking about like the summit. Like I hope we get to see like chunks of like chapters that are in other cities. But I think we're gonna be in like New York primarily for book 2 and 3. So that's a like very small speculation. I like on this arc of New York being a city that is being birthed like no other city. I do think the Avatar is not going to eat all the boroughs like happened in London and the other big cities. Like,
yeah.
So that's going to be fucked up in some way that like none of the old cities know how to deal with. But I think the resolution of that is going to be like the breakthrough for like the whole situation. Okay, so that's like a thought. And then I think I'm just like imagining back to Broken Earth. I think the Primary and Manhattan are gonna like get together. Like the Primary is gonna stop pushing Manhattan off. It's like actually gonna happen, and then one of them is gonna like have to sacrifice themselves for the other. I obviously think Manhattan's gonna have to sacrifice himself for the Primary, but it could go the other way. But like, you know, I'm thinking about Inan and Alabaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I'd been for that one. Okay.
You what?
I said I wish I'd been there for the Broken Earth discussion.
It was good. It was a good time.
So
wait, Reed, were you gonna say something? I feel like there was.
Okay, I got to. Okay, on the Broken Earth, like I feel like there's gonna be another Broken Earth moment where we realize that, like, the story we're being told is not at all the real story. What's happening? Like, you're gonna be looking through like your whatever your blindfolds, and they're gonna open up, and
yeah.
It was
Agreed.
like one sentence, and then it just changes like the entire perspective. So
Ooh.
I'm sorry for it.
Oh, great. Oh, dang. Now that just makes me
Sorry.
wonder if like if the birth process, like if the Council of Cities isn't good, or like good in the way that we think about them. Um, oh gosh, I don't want to. I said I don't want to explore that, but it'd be interesting because then that just means like when like philosophically, like what is the purpose of cities? Are they good? Are they bad? Do they? Yeah. Are they as neutral or positive as we want to believe them to be? But I'm back to the sort of this question of just like the future of whiteness. I think I want Staten Island to be redeemed. Like so that was my thing. I was disappointed. It's like I understood the ending, but I also wanted to imagine an ending where Staten Island can get past itself, especially when you like know how diverse the North Shore is. And I do wonder if like that conflict, like if there will be more sort of tension within Staten Island, like that the story isn't over. Like is there another, like maybe the other boroughs can't do this. Maybe there is someone within Staten Island who the city needs or who needs the city that is able to do this work.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I was just like I was really because like it was weird. I don't really do I resonate with Staten Island. I just remember like my summer there and being like I've been to all of the boroughs. The best view, like the Staten Island ferry is such a beautiful ride. The Sri Lankan food is so good. How is it that people in the rest of the city have not been here? Yeah. You know what? In a way, I feel like Staten Island is like parts of the Midwest. And that like the story, it's accepted the story that's been told about it. And there is a lot of insecurity and sort of like anger about feeling othered. But there are really great things about it. And if it really sort of just like accepted itself for what it is and stop being afraid of what it could become, it could be very powerful.
Yes.
But it's still just like doesn't believe it. Like Staten Island doesn't believe they can change. The Midwest doesn't believe it can change, even though it has so many good things going for it. And it is also still part of the city. So yes, that is my hope. I want the redemption of Staten Island.
I love that. It's so funny. I want Staten Island to like collapse into a black hole.
I think a lot of people feel that, but like then I went there. I was like, oh, this is kind of nice.
It is
terrible,
nice.
but also nice.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times. I do think it is nice, and there's part of me that's like,
I also feel that way about a lot. I think there have been times where I felt that way about like New York, but then I'm like, no, I love this place. But also, you're like the heart of capitalism. You can go.
Yeah, Wall Street. What if it just wasn't? Also, I was being overly dismissive of Staten Island. I actually do think Staten Island is beautiful and has a lot of possibility. I don't really want it to go into a black hole. I just am high level of animosity. Anyway, any other closing thoughts before we go to bed?
This was lovely, and I'm happy I could join you guys.
So happy you joined us. This was really great.
Good to see you both. Are we going to pick a next book? I feel like we do that sometimes.
We should talk about it because this is not. Wait, I'm gonna stop the recording.